Keep that coal! Keep that coal! Come on, come off it! The enemy is profit! Come off it! The enemy is profit!
Andres, tell me why you're in Dublin here at the moment and on this protest.
I'm here to support the climate action bill. We've got a similar bill going in the Icelandic Parliament, and I think that both Iceland and Ireland have a good chance of being leaders when it comes to saying no to fossil fuel exploration.
And how is that moving in the Icelandic Parliament at the moment? Do you think it'll be passed, or what's the situation there?
We haven't gone through first reading yet, so it's not as close to getting passed as the bill here. But it's got very, I'd say, positive reactions from people all over politics.
And do you think that the Icelandic population are in favour of the bill and would support that measure?
I think so, yeah.
So Mehmet, as an anti-racism campaigner, why do you think it's important to support this protest and the bill?
I think it's extremely important to support this protest. First of all, I think it's very important that the government acts on serious matters like that. And secondly, climate change, and one of the unspoken or less spoken aspects of climate change is the forced migration that will cause around the globe, and it has already started doing so. Up to 20-25 million refugees globally or displaced people are actually climate refugees, for which there is no definition of or legal protection, and it will indeed cause more and more people to be displaced. One estimate says in the next 15 to 20 years there will be 250 million climate refugees globally being displaced, and this will obviously cause a lot of racism by the very same powers that will refuse to act on climate change, a lot of conflicts. And we believe if we are serious about climate change, if we are serious about people's livelihood and their future, then we have to deal with climate change.
Brid, can you give us an update on where your legislation is at the moment and what happened today?
Well, basically today was another exercise by the government to try and strangle the bill. And they may dress it up as a money message or a concern by the minister or that the chairperson isn't too happy. All of the things that they've said for the last 18 months is just machinations and ways of holding the bill hostage, not allowing it proceed, and really undermining the democratic process in the Dáil. But to do it on something like this is really serious. And I said it to the Minister at the end of the proceedings today, we're not giving up, we're going to keep fighting. We're not going to let him kill this bill, not without a fight. And he has to answer to the tens of thousands of school students who've taken strike action twice now, to the tens of thousands of people who every day are concerned about climate, are joining the movement, and to those people who clearly expressed that in the last local and European elections. The green wave is real, and it's real across Europe. And if governments don't listen to it, then they're going to have to be forced to listen to it by people power. So, I mean, I'm not too disconcerted. I probably learned more today about their mentality and how they see, the world, the future, and geopolitics. And none of it makes sense to me. It's actually quite crazy the way they view things. Whereas the logic is that this message is simple. 80% of known fossil fuels must remain in the ground. So why issue any more exploration licenses or development licenses for the fossil fuel industry? It just doesn't make sense. And anybody with a modicum of intelligence and understanding that climate change is real, it's an imminent threat, this is an emergency, would accept that. But of course Fine Gael won't. And they won't because they're doing the bidding of the fossil fuel industry. Plain and simple, that's all. That's what's going on here. They'll penalise people by multiples increases in carbon tax. They'll penalise people by trying to implement water charges. They'll penalise people by trying to raise their property taxes. They'll penalise people by not delivering enough on social housing or health, but they will not touch the global corporations of the fossil fuel and related industries. And by that I mean the plastics industry, the aviation industry, the shipping industry, the oil and gas industry. Where is the determination, the will to go after them and to make them clean up their act and deal with this crisis?
Tell me why Extinction Rebellion are here, and maybe tell me a little bit about what you were doing earlier today as well.
So earlier today, Extinction Rebellion activists symbolically poured blood over children in front of the Dáil here today to show what's going to happen if our government continues to take no action whatsoever on the climate and ecological crisis. It's our children's lives and our grandchildren's lives who are going to pay a terrible, catastrophic price.
And were you supporting the bill and the protest here today?
Yeah, absolutely. The bill is, the Climate Emergency Measures Bill is absolutely essential. It's the minimum, it actually represents the minimum that we need in order to survive and keep our society functioning, which is to keep fossil fuels in the ground. We simply cannot dig up any more fossil fuels and burn them. We're already far over the safe limit, and already our ecological and climate structures are failing us. We need to keep those in the ground, and this bill does that, and it needs to pass.